What's up, everybody? I got a different kind of video for y'all today. In this video, we're gonna be pulling my Torsen differential out and put this welded 4.1 into it, so I won't have any unlocking issues anymore on transition when I'm drifting and stuff like that. Also, we're gonna be doing axle seals, fluid change, actually a fluid flush. This will be kind of a differential guide too of what kind of swaps you can do and for what application. So, to start it off, this is a 1.6 Miata, and the differential case and actual gears is from a 1.8. It's from a 95 M edition. It's a Torsen. I did the swap myself. All of those just bolt in from, like, I think all the NBs just bolt into this. So like the case and everything, the only thing is you have to get the matching axles and the matching drive shaft. So you can't have a 1.6 drive shaft and a 1.8 diff. It just won't work. They won't meet up correctly. And also, if you have a 1.8 casing with the arms on it, then any 1.8 interior diff will work with the gears in it. Anything from a 1.8. I don't think a 1.6 will bolt up to it. Keep that in mind when you're doing swaps. If you have a 1.8 open casing, you could put a 1.8 Torsen in that casing, and vice versa. That's what I'm about to do. I'm about to put a welded 1.8 in a Torsen casing. I don't think the casings are any different, like strength-wise, but I just didn't want to have to buy a new casing. And even if I did, it would be more of a pain to swap them all out than just put this one in that one. It's really cold here. I'm gonna work on the car inside. It's kind of cramped, but I think we'll be able to get it done. Put it on jack stands, pull the exhaust off, pull the wheels off, and get to it. First, most important thing to do when doing stuff like this, make sure when you jack up the back of the car, it's not gonna roll, because you can put it in gear all you want, but bearings on the wheels are still gonna spin. I just use a 2x4 like this, kick it under, works good enough. Kick it in tight though. Don't want this thing going anywhere. On a Miata, pretty easy to jack up. If you don't have side skirts, you can do it from the pinch weld. But since I have side skirts, I would have to take those off. I always do it by these little tow hooks right here. I just get one and then lift it up as high as this jack will go and put jack stand under the pinch weld. Jacked up like 3 pumps, and check this out. Yep, that's laying on the ground. Good thing it's KBD, I'm just gonna keep going. All right, I have it about here. I think that should be enough. I'm not totally sure. I don't really want to bend my front bumper anymore. I'm gonna throw a jack under it right here, let it down, and get that side. Okay, didn't go far enough. Let's keep going. All right, let's see. Okay. All good now. I try to push it as far forward so it keeps this height. It's gonna sag a little, not a huge deal. Got that side down. Now we're gonna get the other side. I'm really glad they have these little tow hooks here, because if they didn't, I would have to back the car up on wood and try to get this jack under the side skirt and be able to reach the pinch welds. With these, I don't have to mess with all that. I'm gonna try to get it as level as possible. It's gonna help me get the diff out. I'd say that's about level. Doesn't have to be perfect or anything. Let's check out the front bumper. Ooh, yeah. It doesn't like that. Too bad. I was way off again. I'm gonna have to keep going. Let's see, did I get it? Oh yeah, I got it. All right, pretty even with the other one. I think that's good. Four lugs are awesome. That side's done. Let's get this other one. Not much room over here, but y'all get the picture. Both the back wheels are off. One thing I'm gonna do already, even though I don't really have to do this yet, I'm gonna crack this axle nut off. There's a 29mm socket. You can get them from AutoZone or whatever. Works. I'm gonna put it on the breaker bar, crack these axles off, and then I'm gonna get under there and take the exhaust off. One thing on these axle nuts, they're punched in right there. I don't know if it would focus. Yeah, see how they're punched in? That's to prevent this from backing off under heavy torque or whatever. Honestly, doesn't really matter that much. Other people will probably be like, oh, what if it backs off? It won't. Torque this to like 500 foot-pounds. Not really. Probably like 120. But still, 120 foot-pounds not coming off. And if it does, that little thing not gonna stop it. Whatever. You can crack this off without even undoing that punch. That's what I'm about to do probably, because I don't want to get in there with a screwdriver and try to hammer that out. Let me see about this other side. Yeah, see? I didn't even punch that in last time. There's no point. I went to like 2 drift events with that on, clutch kicking the whole time. So, I mean, do what you want, but not really that important. Got this one and this one. Next step, under the car. Next step, I would say, either do the exhaust, take this part off, that mid-pipe section, or not. I don't know, I might not even do it. I'm gonna take these axles off, just pull them out, drop the power plant frame bolts. These are tough right here. And it looks like I've been dragging on them quite a lot. Definitely been hitting my exhaust. This is what we're gonna have to take off right here. This is the actual diff mount. It's a 17mm bolt right there. And then I believe two 11s or 10s. I will confirm that later once I'm to there. For now, axles, make sure that you do have your axle nut off on both sides, and then just crack these off. Let's get to it. I was severely mistaken. These axle bolts, at least on this car, are a 14, not an 11. My fault. I don't know why I thought 11. Something in here is 11. I bet you it's those up there that I was talking about. Just to let y'all know, I just cracked these two loose right here. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the other side now, and I'm gonna crack the two closest ones. Maybe if I can get all three, that would be nice. I do that because I'm gonna have to get in the car, let the handbrake down, and spin everything by hand so I can get to the other side and then pull the handbrake again so they don't pull off. That's just a little tip with doing this. I'm sure y'all could probably figure that out, but I was an idiot and I couldn't figure that out, so I had to make up that method. So I thought I should let y'all know anyway. Having an issue right now. This bolt, or this nut right here, is just spinning on the shaft, or on the little threaded stud. I'm just gonna put a screwdriver in between here and hammer it in there and try to get a little bit of traction on that bolt, and maybe it'll come off. I don't know if it's gonna work, but we're gonna hope. Okay, it did work, but that stud is cooked, so I guess I'll replace that while it's out. We'll see what happens. Axle 1 is out. Axle 2 out. Now that the axles are both out, I'm gonna unbolt the drive shaft. Now this, you do have to have a backup on. So you need two, whatever size that is. I think it's 14 still. I'm not totally sure, but there's 4 of them again. Once that's out, you can push it forward into the transmission, drop it down and pull it out. One little thing I wanted to share with y'all is kind of a tip. All right, so this is the last bolt for me. These are really tight, so it's kind of hard to break them loose just by going like this, you know? One thing I've been doing for all these, setting that up on the exhaust, sliding this over there, and that holds it for you. So you can put 2 hands on this and get all the leverage you need. See, pop right off. Can keep going. Might want to leave your exhaust on. Maybe not the whole way. I still don't know if I'm gonna have to do it. Maybe just until you take your drive shaft out. You can have that to pry up against. I'm sure you could figure it out with the power plant frame or the gas tank or something like that, but it's just convenient, super easy to get to, and not a big deal if it gets dinged up or anything like that. Just wanted to share that little tip. Drive shaft is out. After all your shafts are out, the next step is power plant frame bolts. Don't be scared of these. They're just really tight and really big, but they don't hold the weight of it. These big arms do. You don't have to worry about this. You can just break these loose. I'm gonna do that, get those 2 out, maybe crack the front one and just try to swing it out of the way. Another little brazzle tip here. I say brazzle because this is not me. My dad taught me this. Hello, Dad, I know you're watching. Double up these wrenches like this. You can get a ton more leverage. Probably not great for the tools. Doesn't matter. It's gonna get the job done. Shout out Dad for this awesome technique. All right, so as I suspected, this bolt that took a big beating is rough around these edges, so I'm gonna get a little redneck and just get the angle grinder out, maybe even the orbital sander. Ooh, that's a better idea. I don't want to cut that bolt. Actually, gonna get the orbital sander out and grind away these edges so I can get a socket on there. You very well could do it with an angle grinder. Probably faster, but I don't want to risk cutting this bolt into a smaller size because I'll probably end up doing that. Okay, guys. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the West Texas in me got to my head. I decided to go angle grinder on them just because I want it to be quick and easy. So I'm going for this. I'm gonna set up this and try not to die. Always make sure to wear your glasses. Heck yeah, son, that's how you do it. Great success in the field today. It now fits. So I'm gonna break it loose with the old dad technique again. Both PPF bolts are out. This thing right here needs to come out. This can be a little tricky. I just always put a screwdriver in the little lip there is and hit it with a hammer once or twice. Go to the other side, do the same thing, and just kind of wiggle it out. Power plant frame bolts are out, and I got to figure out what's going on up here. There's these little pins right there that y'all can see. They're threaded. They go down through into this block right there. You can barely see it, and it's keeping it from swinging away. I have to do a little bit of research on that, and I'll get back. I'm taking a small little break here. I've been working for about 30 minutes. Got everything but the diff out. One thing I forgot to mention that I'm about to do right now, we're gonna drain the fluid. I totally forgot about that. I'm probably gonna wait till it's out of the car now that I think about it, so I can put it over my pan and drain it precisely instead of having to do it while it's at an angle like this. Something I wanted to talk about is the applications of this. I know a lot of y'all are probably gonna think this is stupid for swapping out the best factory LSD you can get in these cars for a ghetto welded open diff. And I totally understand that. I thought that was stupid too. That's why I put this differential in it in the first place. It had the 1.6 VLSD when I first got it, and I ran it for a while. It worked good for a long time, but I got into sliding more and it got looser. I think it would only slide when I was going right, and it would unlock a lot, and on transition it would unlock every single time. So I got sick of that, and I was looking around for new diffs. I was maybe gonna weld. I really wanted to do a Torsen though, because it was like the best of the best. It was best of both worlds to me. I bought a 95 M edition that didn't run. I have pictures of it, I'll put them on the screen. It sat in a field for like 12 years. I got it, loaded it up on a trailer, parked it in front of my house. The next morning I got up, started messing with it, traced back that the fuel pump and the fuel pump relay were bad, bypassed the relay, whatever, put a new pump in it, cleaned the gas tank out. It ran, started right up, drove it around the block, and then I got to thinking, I was like, this has a Torsen in it, and I need a Torsen. So I just swapped them. I put the 1.6 VLSD in that car and sold it for more money. Sorry if you got that. I mean, I've had it for like a year now, this Torsen, and it's good for like a street car or a grip racing car or a time attack, literally any other application but drifting. Been to 2 events this season. First one was fine because it was dry, but the second one, cams, I did a video on. You can see the whole time my diff keeps unlocking because of the grip difference in the track. Some parts of it would be dry, some parts of it would be really wet. So when this wheel grabbed and this one didn't, it thought I was on like super wet, whatever. So it just unlocked, and on transition that killed me a few times. Went off track a few times. Not good, not very consistent. To stay in like a corner, you can't really drive it full angle because you don't know if it's ever gonna lock up or not. I decided to just go with a full welded. I do drive it on the street still. I've heard it's terrible. I've heard it's not that bad. We're gonna see how it is. I'll do a video driving with a welded diff. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go through why. I think if you're doing racing, like actual racing, Torsen's the best way to go. Reinforce it. Drifting, don't mess with a Torsen. It's not good for drifting. It's good for street and whatever. Not good for drifting. Guess I'm gonna get back to work. Now what I'm gonna do is go up there. I'm gonna put a jack under this diff right here, and then I'm gonna crack those loose, the 17 and the 212s. I learned they're 12 millimeters. Slight pause in my progress. I can't get those 17s out right there without breaker bar because they're gonna be super, super tight. I kind of need a 3/4 deep socket set anyway, so I'm gonna go grab one from Harbor Freight and a big extension. I don't know, actually, let me just try to break this loose with the impact real quick and we'll see what happens. Well, I'm super glad I didn't go to Harbor Freight because that just ripped that right off like nothing even happened. That's awesome. DeWalt, man. Chrome socket too. Heck yeah. Also, when you're doing this, make sure jack under here. I know, safety stuff, whatever, but this is kind of serious. You don't want a 50-pound piece of metal crushing your cranium. Another thing to keep in mind while doing this is make sure this wire is unhooked from the power plant frame. Don't necessarily know what this is. I know this is a negative ground wire, but this harness can't be ripped. I mean, it can, but you shouldn't try to do that. I would recommend not. Just unclip it. It's pretty easy. You literally just pull on it, not a big deal. But we're about to drop it, I think. Hopefully. We lost the battle, boys. We got to get the exhaust off. It's hitting right here, and it's still on this thread, so I can't push it over there. But really not that big of a deal. Just like, what, 4 bolts? Yeah. One thing I forgot about, those little press fit things on the top of this power plant frame. I mentioned them before, but I forgot how to take them out. I just remembered. Take this, thread it back in there, thread it in, and then just hit it with a hammer and they'll pop right out. A little recap. I ended up having to take off the exhaust against my will, and I had to push the pins out of the power plant frame with the original bolts that go in it. It came out with the jack. Trevor got here and I totally forgot. I have the diff draining fluid right now. Probably empty. Yeah, it's close. I'm gonna let it drain for a little longer and then pop the case off. We drained the diff. We separated the casing from the actual diff itself. Forgot to record, I already did the axle seals. It was pretty easy. Once you get the casing off like this, you just hit them with a hammer there and there like once and they pop right out. Also, if you got stub axle, you have to pull on them like this. Where's one? You gotta pull on it from the bottom like this while hitting the top of it with a hammer. Pull it out while that's still on because that won't come out if these are still in. Make sure to do that. I almost forgot. I was trying to pull it apart because I didn't know they had to come out. But yeah, it's all apart now. I'm gonna quit for tonight because I gotta get RTV tomorrow probably. Strip all that with a razor blade. And then I guess start going back together. Okay guys, next day, about 6 o'clock. Pretty much got all the disassembly done yesterday. We got a little bit of assembly done with these axle seals. Got that done. The next step for me is to strip all this stuff off of the razor blade, all this old RTV, and then put that new differential into this casing and start building it back. I just went to Harbor Freight. I got this stuff right here, red high temp RTV. This is gonna work good because that does get really hot. I'm gonna get to work. I knocked off all the stuff with a razor blade and then I went over it with a wire wheel, knocked all that off, made it real smooth. I'm gonna put this back on when I get back. Right now, I'm having a lot of trouble getting this drain plug out right here. It's a 23 millimeter on the other side and I don't have that size and it's super tight. So I'm gonna go to AutoZone real quick and spend like $500 on one socket, make sure that comes out, and then we'll put this on this. Finally got this to spin, man. Had to use the breaker bar with that socket on it. I don't know why I ever got it that tight. It's time for this to go on that. I got it on there. I got all the RTV on there. I'm gonna clean that up. Y'all should have seen what happened to me though. I was laying this RTV out like this, squeezing it, and I don't know what happened. Maybe I squeezed too hard, but check this out. It blew out the back and got all over me. So I just had to use what was all over me and just kind of smear it with my hand. That's why it looks terrible. See, like these other sides though, pretty nice and uniform. I'm gonna wait for that to set up, but before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and torque all these. I just got them snugged up with the ratchet. It says to do 20 foot-pounds on all of them. I'm gonna do that or maybe a little bit more. I'm gonna go like 22 probably, just to be safe. Then we'll start reassembling. Busted out the torque wrench. All these little bolts are torqued to 22 pound-feet of torque. I'm gonna let this sit for a minute to let this RTV seal up. I don't know how long. I'll just take a long break. Might go get some food and come back. I'm gonna clean this up real quick just with this microfiber that's getting sacrificed and then let it sit. Small progress. Been just kind of going through and fixing things that I broke before, like this right here. This is the stud that was stripped out. I'm machining it right now, as in running this bolt down and cutting it until it works. I'm just hitting it with WD-40 every now and then. You know, spinning it down on here real carefully and making sure it's not crossed. I think it is cutting new threads on there. Not very good ones, but ones that will work. I got online last night looking for these studs and there were nowhere to be found. I guess these half shafts are kind of rare. They only came in the 94 and 95 models. So you can't find the shafts themselves new or these studs at all. I couldn't find any, not even used ones. Stub axles are in, both of them. Hammered all the way flush. Let me, I'll give you some light. Hammered that one in. As far as it would go, that's kind of bent up because of how I was prying on it to get it out. Shouldn't be a big deal. It never hits that other metal piece. This one is very close to it, but it doesn't hit it. So that's good. Even if it does, it'll kind of self-clear a little bit. I'm not too worried about it. I was gonna give you all this tip for remembering where these bolts go. You have this case, right? And the bolts go into here. See how there's 3 real close together? There's another 3 real close together right here. Lay them out in a circle on the ground like this. Put the 3, the other 3 right there, and then the rest you can kind of space out evenly, and it'll show you kind of where they need to go. There are a few different ones that you need to be aware of. There's one medium length one, and there's one really long one that goes right there. Down in there, I don't know if y'all can see it. It's like this long. So there's the really long one, the medium one, and the rest are short. They should all be the same, so don't stress about it too much, but I would try to put them back the same way. The stub axles, you just kind of push them in, you'll feel them spline, and push it in and it'll kind of center itself. And then just take a hammer, blow it in until it lines up right there. But look. Heck yeah, she's welded. Time to go back up. I re-greased these things. Okay then. I re-greased these things and put the little backing plates on them. I gotta push this up, get it in line with the PPF, slide it up there, bolt these things in, bolt the diff in, and then make sure the PPF bolts line up. And then it'll be in the car, and then we can start putting axles in, drive shaft on, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna get to it. Diff is up in there. It's in both of its threads. I still got the jack on it. All I have to do now is throw these in there with the 12mm bolts that go through right there, or the nuts actually. There's a thread piece on them. I'll show y'all. It's pretty easy to do. If you have these poly mounts, it's gonna go like this. In there, see how I did that? This piece, red on red. And if you grease it right, it should stay there without you even having to put a bolt in it. I wouldn't do that for long. I'm gonna put this right here. There we go. Do that on both of these. And then after that, you take your 17 onto there. It's gonna be hard to turn because of all the grease on it. There you go. Now, 100 foot-pounds. Actually, I think the book says 80 and then 20, but I just like to go more just to play it safe. I'm gonna go 100 here, 40 here. Do what you think you should do. Don't take advice from me. Same thing on the other side. Milestone hit. Power plant frame bolts all back in their respective slot and with their pins. I torqued these to 120 foot-pounds. That's a little over what the book says. I think the book says 100. I'm not totally sure though, so do whatever you feel. So now, since these are all torqued, this is all torqued, the diff is in place. It's not going anywhere. I'm gonna throw the drive shaft on. The drive shaft and all the axles are kind of self-explanatory. They go in the same way they came out, basically. Drive shaft is in. I'm taking a little break after this one. I was putting this on and it wasn't seating right, and I had to mess with the orientation of the bolts. This 30-pound drive shaft came down and macked me right in my 2 front teeth. I'm gonna have to cool down from that one. Kind of skipped ahead a little bit. I got the axles in, both of them. They're both tight. I haven't put the axle nuts on yet. I'm gonna just put them on real quick. I filled the diff up with this cheap fluid. Where is it? From Walmart. Just whatever. It was $5. So I'm just gonna run it like that for a few minutes and try to circulate some of the fluid through to get all the metal and slag that's still left from the welding that was just done. Diff is draining the old fluid right now. I'm about to throw this good Valvoline stuff in it, 75/90. Make sure all these plugs are tight. And then the last thing we gotta do is put that exhaust on. Remember how I was saying there were so many different bolts holding this exhaust on? Well, I got something to remedy that. New hardware, all matching. Gonna make this way easier if I ever have to do it again. Exhaust is back in. All we're lacking is axle nuts and wheels. I'm gonna start it up real quick and just make sure that there's no exhaust leaks or anything like that. All right, everything's done. Got those torqued to 190 foot-pounds. All that's left is to put the wheels on it and drop it. All right, I got a little excited. I forgot to record. Wheels are on, everything's good. I already went for a little rip around the neighborhood and into a parking lot. It's nice, I'm telling you. The angle is so much more consistent already. Okay, guys, I'm not sure how much time has passed. I know that this is the 4th day. Last night, I finished it up. I took it for a spin, went to a Walmart parking lot, did a few donuts. It's feeling good. I was gonna set up the rig in here, just go for a little test drive with you guys, show y'all how it is. We'll go for a little drive. Letting it warm up right now. Even dirty, she looks good. I don't know how long it's been since I've shown you all the outside. A few little changes. This banner is new. Repainted the wing, and this third brake light works now. Let's hop in. All right, this is my second drive out with the welded differential. I'll try to put some stuff on the screen to show you kind of what's happening, because I know y'all can't feel it, you know, since you're not in the car. We're gonna take off right here, or maybe that way. And it's gonna, you might be able to hear it right now, I don't know. Right there, it's all ready. It's a lot harder to steer too. It doesn't like to turn as much, which makes sense. parking lot right now. I'm gonna set my phone up on this thing. I'm just gonna turn around. You'll be able to see how the back wheel is slipping around. That's basically it, guys. As you can see, it made these marks. You know, like a normal diff, one wheel's here, one wheel's here, and they both are able to spin at different rates in a corner because your outside wheel will be traveling more distance than your inside wheel, if you're going around this pole. Doing this just locks them both together so they can't move independently. That helps in drifting by knowing where your grip is. Like if I'm in a corner and I'm sliding, I'm not worried about that one catching grip and sending me in the direction of where my wheels are pointing. And once it is in a slide, I know it's gonna stay there as long as I keep my foot on the throttle, because one is not gonna lock up and catch grip without my input. So that's why I did this. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's kind of cool. It's pretty fun to drive with too. I'm gonna be at the Rimrock Drift Bash, March 2nd and 3rd. That's a Saturday and a Sunday. That's in Odessa, Texas at Rimrock go-kart track. I'm gonna do some drifting out there, meet up with some friends. If any of y'all wanna go and support, that would be cool. But I appreciate y'all for watching this all the way through. I had a good time filming it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.